Hey developers, welcome to Devcovery. Today, we're bringing you the hottest open source projects trending on GitHub, so you don't miss any tech developments worth your attention.
Today we're taking a deep dive into a trending project on GitHub, litellm. It acts as a universal translator for large language models, letting you call over 100 different LLM APIs using a single, consistent format. This project is exploding in popularity because it not only simplifies development, but also adds powerful features like cost tracking, load balancing, and security guardrails. What if you could swap between OpenAI's GPT-4, Anthropic's Claude, and Google's Gemini with just a single line of code? This explosion of large language models has been incredible, but it's also created a huge headache for developers: fragmentation. Well, one project on GitHub is aiming to become the universal translator for them all. That project is called litellm, and it comes from the team at BerriAI. It's both a Python library and a centralized AI gateway built to unify API calls to over 100 different language models. The community response has been massive. It's already gathered over 38,000 stars on GitHub, with more than 130 of those coming in just the last day. And with over 6,000 forks, it's clear that developers aren't just using it, they're actively building on it. So, what's the core problem litellm is solving? Anyone building a generative AI application today faces a chaotic landscape. Every model provider, whether it's AWS Bedrock, Cohere, or Azure, has its own unique API format, its own authentication, and its own way of handling errors. This means engineering teams are forced to write and maintain a tangled mess of provider-specific code for every single model they want to try. Simple tasks, like switching to a cheaper model or adding a backup for reliability, turn into major development projects. Instead of patching this problem at the application level, litellm takes a much smarter approach. It solves it at the infrastructure level by creating one single standard interface that hides all that complexity. So, how does it work under the hood? At its core, litellm uses what's known as an adapter architecture. The best way to think about it is like a universal power adapter, but for language models. The technical magic is an abstraction layer that takes a standard request, formatted like an OpenAI call, and translates it into the specific protocol for any of the 100+ supported providers. Then, it translates the response back. This process smoothly handles all the tricky differences, from unique parameter names to complicated authentication steps. And it's fast. The project reports an impressive 8 millisecond latency while handling 1,000 requests per second. To achieve this speed, it's built on Python's modern asynchronous framework, Asyncio. This lets the AI gateway manage thousands of simultaneous API calls without getting bogged down, making it perfect for production. Another smart technical choice is the use of Prisma ORM for the database. This ensures type-safe data management, which is critical for enterprise features like reliably tracking API costs, usage, and logs across different teams. In a real-world setting, litellm is a game-changer for two key groups. First, you have machine learning operations teams. They use the AI gateway to create a single, secure entry point for their whole organization. From one central dashboard, they can manage API keys, monitor spending, and enforce security policies. The second group is individual developers who use the Python SDK to build more robust applications. For example, a developer can set up their app to automatically fail over from a slow or failing Azure OpenAI endpoint to a model from Anthropic. This ensures the app stays online, all without writing complex fallback code. Best of all, getting started is incredibly simple, often just a single install command. But of course, no solution is perfect. By sitting in the middle, litellm naturally adds a tiny bit of latency to every API call. More importantly, its AI gateway creates a central point of failure. If it goes down, everything goes down. It also becomes a high-value target for attackers, since it holds the keys to all the underlying model APIs. The project also fights a constant battle against what's called API drift. Anytime a provider changes its API without warning, it can break compatibility, creating a huge maintenance headache for the litellm contributors. In the end, litellm is much more than a simple convenience library. It's a strategic piece of infrastructure for the new, multi-model era of AI. It gives teams essential operational control, protects their applications from vendor lock-in, and most importantly, lets developers get back to what they do best, building great features, not drowning in API chaos.
That's all for today's Devcovery. We hope these GitHub trending projects spark some inspiration for your development work. You can find all the repos mentioned in the description below. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you tomorrow at the same time.